everybody, and welcome to Lingerie Lowdown, the podcast. I'm Jim Williams, your host. And every 2 weeks, what we try to do here at Lingerie Lowdown, the podcast, is bring you an inside, in-depth look at lingerie, one of the fastest growing areas of the fashion industry. It's a multi-billion-dollar part of the fashion industry. And we have a wonderful website. It's called LingerieLowdown.com, where we have presenters, and those presenters come to us from all over the world. They are a very diverse group of people. They represent all different kinds of body types, and they give unbiased information on every item of clothing that they try on. And folks, we're talking about thousands of different items of fashion that they try on. Now, we also want to take you behind the ropes and introduce you to those presenters so you can get a little bit better idea of who they are as a person. You've seen them on the website. They're outstanding presenters, but there's always a little more to each one of them, and we'd like to bring that to you. We also take the time to introduce you to some of the top names in the fashion business, as well as some of the cutting-edge new fashion labels that you may not even have heard of until we bring them to you, because they've come through a very fashion-forward group of people over at Lingerie Lowdown. Now, this week, our guest is none other than Dani Thompson. Now, Dani is very unique. She's, of course, a presenter with Lingerie Lowdown. She's also an actress, and she basically is someone who, as our buddy Scott likes to say, is a scream queen. Well, what we really mean is she is someone who is an actress who is seen often in horror movies, which is kind of cool because that's also one of her favorite kinds of movies. And Dani, it's great to have you. Let's talk a little bit about you and your background. It's a fascinating one.
But I've been living in London for 12 years now. I moved here really with the modelling to start with, and then I kind of got to a stage with that I was like, modelling, the glamour industry is kind of dying a bit of a death with all the kind of social media and all the magazines dying out. I went to drama school, and since then I've kind of been more acting, so I'm doing all my horror, lots of film, but I gave up modelling for a while, and I've kind of gone back to it. But now it's more of, if and when I kind of can pick the fun jobs. And so I'm kind of just a bit of everything now.
It's funny, Scott calls you the scream queen.
The scream queen.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit about why you got that moniker.
So I've always loved horror movies. So if I'm going to watch a film, 9 times out of 10 it will always be horror. I don't really like anything else. And I never really set out just to do horror myself. But when I started acting, I kind of did a little bit for a magazine, actually. It was like a horror magazine. And then from that, there was a couple of people making films, and they offered me roles. And then I think the horror industry is quite small, it's niche, and everyone kind of knows everyone. So once you start working in it, you kind of, you keep working with the same people over and over again. So I kind of fell into doing it that way. And now that that's what I'm doing, I love it. And I kind of wouldn't have it any other way. I like making the kind of movies that I want to watch. But as far as scream queen, I think personally I prefer princess. I feel like I have to be older to be a queen, and maybe have done more. So I think still princess. Like, I'm working my way up to. I don't feel like I deserve the moniker of queen quite yet.
Well, princess is not a bad role. That's pretty cool. That's not a bad thing. And with the advent of streaming video these days, I mean, you talk about niche films, right? But,
yes.
It's such an interesting situation that even though it might be a niche, because of streaming video and the ability to capture it all over the world, you can find a pretty good following for a number of different, what one might call niche films or niche television or whatever. Well, and many people around the world, if it hasn't been seen in the US before, right? I get to see it. If it hasn't been seen in Australia, they get to see it. And you get a legion of fans that you may not have had say, in the old traditional way things were done.
Yeah, I mean, there's absolutely that. I mean, you used to make films, they'd maybe go to cinema if you were lucky. If not, it would be, straight to DVD.
Right.
Or straight to video at one point, but straight to DVD. And then, of course, like DVDs are only selling in certain countries, and films are kind of, they're sold by territory. But yeah, now, of course, with streaming, with your Amazon, with Prime, and with Netflix, and with all these other things, people can watch it all over the world. I mean, I've got films that I'm in that they're released usually in America first rather than in the UK, and some of them not even released in the UK, but of course people can still watch them because they only have to access them either online or, I mean, you can buy DVDs online now and have them, all over. But yeah, I mean, everything is very accessible,
which is fun and outstanding. So
yeah, I mean, it's funny when you get people to send a message and they've watched it and they're somewhere so far away. I mean, I've made films, and I've made a film in America, and I'm probably back out possibly next year for another one. So those ones are obviously made over there, but the ones that are here, and you have people in the States kind of buying them and sending messages, is cool.
That's very cool. Here in the United States and UK and around the world, actually, you're talking about Australia. I find that there's some fantastic television programming that comes out of Australia, and a lot of people sometimes don't get to see that. So even I'm looking at 5 or 6 shows that have become major hits around the world that have been launched. We always knew that the BBC and ITV and what comes out of the UK is quality programming, but most recently we've been finding both Canada and, of course, Australia has been largely involved as well.
Well, I mean, Canada's so close to the States, and a lot of American shows are filmed in Canada because they've got the space, they've got the scenery. But Australia,
it's inexpensive. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, exactly. There's that. Australia, I mean, I'm a big fan of the Aussie soaps. I can't stand the British soaps. So, I mean, you'd never get me watching Coronation Street or Hollyoaks or EastEnders, but the Aussie soaps, I've got to say, I love Home and Away, Neighbours. I don't watch them all the time, but if you tune in, you know what's going on. And of course, you have amazing actors. I mean, obviously, I'm a massive Kylie Minogue fan, so she started in Neighbours. Then you've got Margot Robbie, she started in Neighbours. But then you've got the Hemsworths and, so many people. Melissa George, she does a lot of horror. All these people started in Home and Away. So I think there's a girl called Samara Weaving, actually. She's done a couple of horrors recently, and she was Home and Away. So I think you get a lot of actors that come out of those Australian shows that do very well. And I don't know whether it was easier for their visas to come from Australia and get a visa to work in the States. I don't know. America seemed to make it quite difficult for the Brits to be able to go over there. But I mean, I can't name too many more Australian shows. For me, Neighbours and Home and Away are probably the only ones I could actually tell you about. So maybe you know more about that than me.
Well, I was just going to say, 2 weeks ago, I did an interview with Lucy Lawless, and Lucy is starring in a very, very big hit show, Australian show, which is now streaming in the U.S. And the name of the program is My Life is Murder.
Oh,
and she plays a retired detective who basically has decided that she'll dabble back into it, but it's a very clever show. It's a very well written show. It's an incredibly, the filming of the show makes everybody want to move to Melbourne, Australia. It's just a very very sharp, very well done show, and Lucy's such a fun lady anyway, and so pleased to see that she has a vehicle which gets an opportunity to show her comedic side. So Lucy Lawless and My Life is Murder, highly recommend.
I'll have a look. Well, Australia do horror quite well, actually.
They do.
Wolf Creek was a long time ago now. There's the series now, but the film, I have to say though, it's a long time ago. I can't remember what year it was out. It was early noughties. And I went to the cinema to see it, and I didn't read the reviews. I was expecting a werewolf film, so I was kind of disappointed when it wasn't a werewolf movie. It wasn't a werewolf movie I was expecting, but of course it's still very horrific. And then there's a film called The Loved Ones, which is an Australian horror film that I love, and they've got. And they've done a lot. They do horror well, and I think again because they've got so much space, and they've got the means to film. And I very almost went out there. I mean, I haven't been back since I was young, but I very almost went out there to do a film a few years ago, and then it fell through, which was a shame because I'd have liked the chance to go back out there.
No, there'll always be another time.
Hopefully.
Yeah,
I don't like the
fingers
spiders,
crossed.
that's the only thing about Australia. It's the spiders.
Right?
I don't like the spiders. That's the only thing about Australia.
You and I are on the same page on that one. We're both arachnophobia, I guess, is the whole thing. But
horrible things.
Let's talk about your relationship with Scott and the team at Lingerie Lowdown.
Okay, well, I've been working for Lingerie Lowdown for must be just over a year now. I was presenting online casino for a while. I was really, really busy when Scott first messaged me. So it took quite a while for me to actually kind of do my first bits and pieces for him because I was just working all the time. And then I left it there. And then it kind of worked out really well because then I had all the time in the world in between films. So I tend to do quite a lot, as much as I possibly can. And I do love lingerie. So for me, I think coming from a modeling background to start with, there was a lot of lingerie there. And I very much like kind of glamour and like, you know, luxury lingerie and the kind of lots of vintage styles and things. So for me, I think there's nothing more glamorous than like wearing something underneath your clothes that you know you have there that kind of makes you feel sexy, that no one else really necessarily knows that you have on. So I think, you know, you feel good if your underwear's good. I was just actually saying my last review, my nana always taught me, this is a quote from my nana, that you should always make sure that your underwear matches and that your nail polish is not chipped. So I lived by those, and my underwear always matches. You'll never see me without unmatching underwear. And my nail polish has, well, I try not to allow it to be chipped.
We'll be back with more of Lingerie Lowdown right after this. Hey, everybody, let me tell you a little bit about Lingerie Lowdown, the website. Now, we have presenters, as I told you before, who represent all body types, who are from all corners of the globe. They are outstanding people. They are folks who give you their honest and unbiased opinions on every item of clothing they wear. And folks, we showcase thousands of different types of items right there on Lingerie Lowdown, the website. You get to see it with presenters, as we said. They're all body types, so it's quite frankly a very good chance that you're going to see someone who looks a great deal like you right there on Lingerie Lowdown. Now, our presenters are incredible people. They're fun. They're entertaining. They give you everything you need to know about the items they wear. They show you how to accessorize them. They give you everything that you want to know before you go out and buy something. As a matter of fact, what you're going to learn is you're going to learn that some of these things you may want, some of these things you may didn't, before, let's say bodysuits, for instance. You may have thought to yourself, I'm not really a bodysuit kind of a girl, but, I'll check out what they've got. And I'll tell you, even our presenters at times will say, I wasn't really a bodysuit girl until I tried this, and wow, that was fantastic. But, the same thing happens with any number of different items that they try on because they're honest. They're trying them on in many cases for the first time. They're giving you their unbiased opinion. This, folks, is something that is, as I said, it's educational, but it's entertaining as well, because if there's something wrong, they'll tell you why. And trust me, they don't hold back. If there's something they like about it, you know what? They're going to tell you that. And in some cases, they may say, you know what? This doesn't work for me, but it might just work for you. Okay. So look, get your girlfriend a subscription, get your wife your wife and a girlfriend. No, just your wife or your girlfriend. Get your boyfriend a subscription. Buy one for yourself. Okay. Everybody should be subscribed to Lingerie Lowdown, because I'm telling you right now, it's a fun site. It's a site where you're going to learn a lot. And if you're into fashion, whether you want to wear something, if you want to be fashion forward, all that stuff is there. But the fun part is that you get to learn from people who are passionate about this stuff, just as passionate as you are. Okay. So check it out. Check out lingerielowdown.com. That's lingerielowdown.com. All the information will be in the show box below. And I got to tell you right now, we're going to give you a 10% discount. That's right, a 10% discount on our 6 and 12-month membership plans. That's right. All you have to do, we're going to give you a code in a moment. Use that coupon code when prompted and receive 10% off the price of joining for 6 or 12 months. That, my friends, is a deal. So, as I said, I'm going to give you that coupon code in a minute, but you get a 10% discount on our 6 or 12-month membership plans by simply entering the coupon code when prompted, and we'll give you that coupon code right now. This week's Lingerie Lowdown promo code is DaniPod. That's DaniPod. DaniPod. DaniPod is this week's promo code. Now, what's that going to do? As I said before, it's going to get you 10% off a 6 or 12-month subscription to Lingerie Lowdown, the website. So by all means, check it out today. Go out to Lingerie Lowdown, the website. Subscribe to our 6 or 12-month subscription. Enter, when prompted, the promo code DaniPod, DaniPod. All the information is in the show box below, folks. So don't worry, you're not going to miss it. That's DaniPod. And you're going to get that 10% discount on 6 or 12-month subscription. Go out there and do it today, okay? Let's get back to talking to our guest, Dani Thompson. It's all very much, it's in the mind, right?
Yes.
The power aspect of it. Make yourself feel good before you can do before you can get in the proper mindset. I think that's something a lot of people forget and don't actually pay much attention to.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's very much about, feeling put together and being ready for your day. I mean, I say I like vintage styles and I like, that kind of way, vintage, old school glamour. I think when people put in a lot more effort than they do now. But at the same time, I mean, I can't imagine wearing full-on stockings and suspenders and corsets and all that kind of thing all day because, can't necessarily be comfortable to wear all the time. And who has the time now? I mean, I definitely don't. But I mean, at the same time, you do feel good when you're wearing something nice. And, I review all kinds of different things, Scott. I don't just kind of stick to, my general styles I wear. He'll send me things, I do a lot of costume things and I do, all sorts of different things. And I think they're always fun. I can always make use of stuff for shoots anyway. So, so nothing's ever kind of goes to waste. But, I mean, even, hosiery even, I feel like I'm finding more of a love for it now that since I've been working for Scott, because before, I would wear tights if it was cold or, put a pair of fishnets on with a costume, but I very much wasn't into patterns or anything. And now they're kind of growing on me. I'm feeling like, I'll make use of them a little bit more than I used to. So yeah, I'm learning.
It's a funny thing. Many of the presenters talk about finding things that they weren't necessarily too keen on, bodysuits and things like that. And then suddenly they realize, wait a minute, there's something to be said for this. So, what you're saying is I think part of the evolution for everyone in fashion.
Well, because there's stuff that I just would never go out and buy for myself. I think, no, But then once you have it and you put it on, things can look different on. I mean, my style's quite classic. Like, as far as shoots and things, and I could go all out. But for my personal style, I like sort of simple, simple cuts and simple colours, and anything too crazy. It's how to team it with something. I mean, if you're going to have I'm very much not for pattern tights unless it's fishnet, unless it's maybe leopard print. For me, patterns on tights are kind of, I like a seam down the back, and that's kind of as crazy as I like to go. But now I'm kind of thinking, if there was a slight pattern, if you wore a very, very plain outfit, then, the tights would then have to be your signature piece in that ensemble. So I think then, it's just working out how to team it. And I mean, I studied fashion for 4 years before I ever went into modelling, like long time ago at fashion school. And kind of, I've always been the same. So my styles, even though studying different styles, I can work out what other people wear, what suits other people's tastes. But my styles very much remain the same. So, but yeah, like I think I might have a bit more fun with fashion. Maybe this winter, I now have a drawer full of tights, pairs of tights that some I would wear, some not necessarily. So we'll see what happens with those.
You know what? If you, one of the things that would be fun if you have a moment to do it Give us some of your thoughts of some of the things that are the go-to items that you think people should have in their wardrobe.
Go-to items. I mean, obviously, you always need some nice matching lingerie, something that you can pop on under anything, whether it's like you're going for a day at the office or whether you're going on a date, like something that a nice set that is classic, plain. I think black's always good, but has just a little bit of something about it. I think everybody needs a really nice suspender belt, and I tend to go for vintage styles because of the metal clasps. Because these plastic ones, if you buy like a matching set from somewhere, they tend to come with plastic clasps, and they're really hard to keep on your stockings. They pop off. But the good old-fashioned metal clasps, ones that will stay done up. So, and also they give you that really nice kind of nipped in way. So kind of more of a girdle-esque, a bit of a larger suspender belt. Everybody needs one of them because it does give you an amazing, amazing shape. I think some nice stockings, nice seamed stockings, because again they can be worn in the office, they can be worn out. They're classic, that's understated, sexy. And I think a pair of fishnets, everyone should have a pair of fishnets, because you can wear them and downplay them, or they can kind of dress up any kind of item a little bit, any outfit. So I think those are kind of my main things that I think that everybody needs.
What are some of the things that when you have been reviewing them, you thought, I'm not so certain this is something I'm going to like, but you ended up liking it?
That's happened a couple of times. Some of the pairs of tights, I had some tights that had a bit of a pattern on, and I was a bit kind of, never going to like these, and put them on and was pleasantly surprised. I thought, what, not any crazy pattern, but just the kind of knit where the knit's a bit more interesting than just plain. And I thought, actually with a plain outfit, maybe these. I'm trying to think what else I've had. I mean, I did a 7-day challenge, an animal print 7-day challenge, and I love
I remember that one. Yeah, that was quite clever.
And I love leopard print. For me is the thing, but there's a purple zebra print body stocking, and I was I don't necessarily dislike it, but I thought, I don't think it's necessarily sexy. I mean, when do people wear body stockings? Generally, it's probably for the bedroom. And I thought, who's going to wear this purple zebra print body stocking? And I put it on, and I quite liked it. I wouldn't wear it for anyone in the bedroom, because they'd probably wonder why I'd come to the bedroom dressed as a zebra, a purple zebra. But for a photo shoot, actually, it looks quite cool on. So there's stuff that not for everybody. It depends what you do. I mean, for me, obviously, modeling, I can make use of these things, but some of the things are a bit more out there. But to be honest, I like most of the things. I mean, for me, my favorite things I like to review are like nice underwear sets, and even better if they come with a matching waspy or a matching suspenders. I think that really, is a whole put together look. So those are probably my favorite things to review is the actual underwear. And I like stockings. I've got far too many pairs of tights now, but I feel like I have less stockings than I do other things. But I suppose there's only so far you can go with stockings. But I feel like those kind of nice, kind of classic. I'd like to do some vintage, actually. But obviously then we're reviewing so that people can go out and buy the same thing. And that's the thing with vintage. People aren't going to be able to find exactly the same. But whether it be, we can advise, where to shop, which vintage shops to look in for certain things. Because vintage nightwear, I quite like. I've got quite a few kind of vintage old nightgowns, which I've used for Hammer horror style shoots, but also just kind of, I think I dream of one day I'll be living in this big house and I'll just be floating around in my vintage nightwear and my peignoirs and, it'll be all very glamorous. As it happens, they just all live in a drawer. They're all folded and they're in there. But and vintage lingerie would be cool.
So we're talking like, let's say, actresses in the 40s, 50s, and early 60s, something in that realm.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, you don't really want vintage underwear, so you don't want to wear somebody else's knickers, do you?
No.
But vintage styles, and there's a few brands now that do the vintage styles. So I'd like to do kind of more of that kind of stuff. But for nightwear and stuff like that, I don't mind that. I mean, I think there's something in vintage clothes that they have a bit of history, and I think there's something kind of nice, and you kind of, it makes you wonder who the people were that wore the clothes, and So
Sure.
I think for nightwear, as long as it's good quality clean, then I think that's okay. And maybe kind of recycled fabrics, because we're trying to, we don't want throwaway fashion. We're trying to kind of get away from, the single-use plastics and throwaway fashions. That, recycled fabrics would be good if we could do something. That would be a cool thing to kind of touch on.
Yeah. There are many of the couture lines have gone, back to the lines that we were talking about in the 50s and 60s, like Yves Saint Laurent has done it. So has Givenchy and some of these others who have seen the 50s and the 60s and kind of said, there's something to say about that. Let's just kind of update it a bit, make it a little fashion forward, but kind of get you a throwback at the same time.
Well, I think clothes were built to last. Like, people didn't have, lots of money, and the money they had, they bought quality items that they could, keep and use over and over again. I think with underwear, you can shop somewhere cheaper. You can get, there are kind of like budget stores that you can get a full underwear set that looks quite nice. I mean, as far as photo shoots go, you can get a set, probably for about £10. I can get a bra and a pair of knickers that look nice for a shoot, but then you'll find the adjustable straps will keep coming loose, and the fabrics, they're not going to necessarily last long. So it's fine, it's fair enough if you just want it for a shoot, but then you buy 5 of those for 5 shoots and it's throwaway fashion, they're not going to last long. Or you could spend the money on like one set that is good quality and is going to last. And I think that's for saving the environment and saving the wealth from pollution. And I mean, the fashion industry is a big cause of it. I mean, I think buying slightly more expensive but to last is another way of kind of trying to combat that, really.
Sure. It's a very good idea. So, Dani, I'll tell you what, coming to the end of our discussion here, but quickly, give you an opportunity to do a little, what we call shameless self-promotion here for all of us. How can we find you on social media?
How can you find me on social media? Well, website, www.dani-thompson.com. Social media, it's at Miss Dani Tees, and that's DaniTeeze. And I also have Vegan Vamp Life, so at Vegan Vamp Life, which is more about food and sustainability and what have you on there, if you're going down that kind of eco route, which we've been talking about. So I have the both. So there's the model acting Dani, and then there's my kind of more world conscious side. So those are the 2 places you can find me, and they're the same, be it Twitter, Instagram, Facebook.
That sounds fantastic. And so obviously you're in the vegan lifestyle as well then, eh?
Yeah, vegan lifestyle. So this is where it comes in. Like, I don't wear leather, but Scott's always known that. And no leather, no feathers, no fur.
Well, that's very good to know, and it seems as if that's becoming a very good, healthy trend, the vegan aspect of life, which is much to be said.
I think if everyone cares a little bit more about the world, it might just last a bit longer.
Let's hope. Let's hope. Any films that you'd like to promote while we're here?
Ooh, what have I got coming up? Well, there's a movie called Pumpkins, which should be out later this year, and I believe that's going to be released stateside first. This year I've been busy filming. I've done 3 films this year, but they're all kind of still in the edit process. So we've got Ice Cream on the Beach, Pandemonium, and Mannequin. But they're all in the edit process. And then I have got what's it called? They've changed the name, Party of Valis. That was meant to be out at some point this year. It's changed to Bite Night. So Pumpkins and Bite Night possibly out by the end of the year.
Cool. And I'm sure if we go to your website, you'll be able to let us know, and follow you through social media. You'll let us know when that's going to come out. Yes, social media more so. It's always updated. My website gets updated if I remember to have somebody update it. Otherwise, we all know who that works. So yeah. Then definitely on social media. Dani, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much. Thank you. Special thanks to today's guest, Dani Thompson, for joining us and telling us some pretty fascinating stuff about herself. We're going to have all that information in the show box below. So we'll be back with more of Lingerie Lowdown, the podcast, right after this.
Life is about making decisions. At BMW I, we decided it was time to reinvent the car from the ground up, making sure we were open for truly innovative ideas. We decided that the car we wanted must be electric, and it should be made of extremely light and super strong carbon fiber. And finally, we decided to make it more intelligent and added our promise of incomparable driving pleasure. We made all these decisions to offer you a choice. The all-electric BMW i3.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Lingerie Lowdown. Now, if you're not one of the 25,000 people taking the time to subscribe to the podcast, first of all, shame on you. Second of all, we certainly do make it simple. All you have to do is jump on out there to the iTunes store. It is free. You can find us in the Apple Podcast family. You can find us part of the Google Podcast family as well as Spreaker, Stitcher, Spotify, and of course, TuneIn Radio, iHeartRadio, and YouTube. Now, for some reason you cannot seem to find us, not a problem. Just pull out the old Google machine, type in Lingerie Lowdown, the podcast, and hit the favorite button or the subscribe button. And every 2 weeks, you'll get a brand new edition of the podcast sent directly to your phone, your tablet, or to both, okay? So thank you very much for going out there, and hopefully you'll subscribe today. We'd love to have you do it. Also, check out our YouTube site, which is Lingerie Lowdown on YouTube. We have crushing the 300,000 mark and are pushing the 400,000 mark. So by all means, check that out. And as we said earlier, what we really want you to do is become part of our family. And to do that, just go on out to Lingerie Lowdown, the website at lingerielowdown.com. All the information is in the show box below. And if you go out there and you use the promo code, which we gave you earlier, which is Dani, D-A-N-I-P-O-D, that's Dani Pod, when you're prompted to use the promo code, and you subscribe to a 6 or 12-month subscription to the service, okay, then guess what you're going to get? What you're going to get is you're going to get a 10% discount. So by all means, take advantage of that 10% discount, because I'm telling you right now, you're going to love that website, and you're going to love what our guest today, Dani Thompson, has been able to do on that website. She's absolutely a rock star. It's great to have Dani on the website, and it was great to have a chance to chat with her. Many thanks to Dani for joining us. Well, folks, that pretty much wraps it up for this edition of Lingerie Lowdown, the podcast. I'm Jim Williams. For everyone at Lingerie Lowdown, we greatly appreciate you joining us. We'll see you in 2 weeks' time. Folks, have a wonderful and safe fortnight. Until next time, I'm Jim Williams for the gang here at Lingerie Lowdown, saying take care.